This morning's lesson is on something called molar mass. And it's basically asking how much the chemicals weigh, or determining how much the chemicals weigh. Now, we're going to go into what a mole is in the afternoon in a little more detail, but a mole is basically a grouping of chemicals that's convenient. So if you went out to the store and you were going to get some pop, you might get 24 cases or cans of pop in a case. That grouping of 24 is a grouping that's convenient. Now, if you were to go out and get donuts, you might get a dozen donuts. That's another type of grouping right there. A mole is a very large number of a chemical because chemicals are very small, and it's about enough to fit in the palm of your hand if you have what's called a mole of any chemical. But once again, every chemical has a different mass, and it's very important that you know how to figure out the masses of these chemicals. So if we take a look at the periodic table, the lightest chemical is hydrogen, and if we had 1 mole of hydrogen, it would have a mass of 1. I always round the numbers here. If we had a mole of carbon, the mass would be 12, and that's measured in grams. So if we had a small handful of hydrogen, it would be 1 gram. If we had the same number of particles of carbon, it would be 12. But take a look at, for example, lead. If we had 1 grouping of lead, or 1 mole of lead, it would be 207. Your job this morning is just to figure out where to find these numbers on the periodic table and find out how much 1 mole of various substances weigh. So I'll give a couple of examples here. If we were to do H2O, we would know that we had 1 hydrogen. Well, we have 2 hydrogens, each with a mass of 1. So it would be 1 plus the oxygen would be, it says 15.9, I'm going to round up to 16. Hey, on a test, if you round the wrong way, I'm not going to mark it wrong, as long as you show what you need to know to find what the mass of water is. That's 18 grams for 1 mole of water. Now, this is very, very, very important in chemistry, because if you're working in a lab and your boss says that you need 2 moles of a chemical to mix with 3 moles of another chemical, what you can do is weigh out the amount you need for the reaction. So this lets us know what we need in a reaction. Let's try 2 more. Let's do AlCl3. So we've got 1 aluminum, and aluminum says 26.9, so I'm going to round up to 27. And I have 3 chlorines. So the chlorines are 35.4 each. I'm going to call them 35. So 35 plus 35 plus 35. Okay, let's go 27 plus 35 plus 35 plus 35 equals, that is a mass of 132 grams. Now what they say is the units are grams per mole. So the mole is the amount we have. It's like weighing what all of the donuts in a box of dozen weigh and saying they weigh 30 grams per dozen. Okay, so that's per mole. Now, the confusing part is you don't know what a mole is yet. So that's this afternoon's lesson. So we have to go back and forth a little bit with this stuff. Your job today is just to be able to find the mass of things. Let's do a complicated one. We'll do glucose. We've got 6 carbons. They have a mass of 12 each, equals 72. We've got 12 hydrogens. Now these 2 we've looked up before. They have a mass of 1 each. And we have oxygen. We have 6 of those. And oxygen has a mass of 16. So if you look up here, you will see where the molar mass is. So that's 96. I believe if you add all of that one up, all of those up, you'll get 180 grams per mole. Okay, folks, that's your first skill. I am going to go over a second skill this morning. It's not technically due till this afternoon, but you might want to get ahead on it. Like I say, tomorrow's work is a little more involved. So if you want to jump ahead to make sure you're prepared, go ahead and do that. There's nothing to hand in from this work. Make sure you could do the skill and get in touch with me if you're confused.